is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Celebrity Afterlife Report, a weekly roundup of the latest gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. I'm your host, the Celebrity Medium. Let's begin. There aren't many scientists, either on the earthly plane or in the next world, who can be called celebrities, but Marie Curie would be one of them. The first woman to win a Nobel Prize, she discovered radium, a discovery that ultimately contributed to her death from radiation poisoning. In the next world, her genius has been mostly unused, as the afterlife has no need for people who discover new elements. So for the past several decades, she has spent her time teaching basic science to next world children who want to understand the earthly plane they used to live in. According to my afterlife paparazzi contacts, though, her life appears to be changing radically. As I've chronicled on the report in the past, the next world has its fads just like our existence does, and currently it's experiencing a wave of unconventional fashion models and advertisements. The artist Frida Kahlo, who never shied away from displaying her unibrow and her self-portraits, has become the flavor of the month in high fashion modeling. Kahlo, I'm told, suggested Madame Curie to her employers when they were looking for the afterlife's next top model. Curie is said to have laughed in the face of the modeling agent who approached her about a change in career. He gave her his business card and said she should contact him if she changed her mind. A few weeks later, the story goes, she had a rough day with some unruly kids in her classroom and apparently decided she had nothing to lose by trying her hand at modeling. Much to her surprise, she rapidly became one of the most sought-after models for high-fashion magazine work alongside Kahlo. While she is keeping the option to return to teaching open, I'm told that Marie is thoroughly enjoying her new life and the celebrity that comes with it. Back in their days on the earthly plane, Johnny Carson and Merv Griffin were late-night talk show rivals, hosting programs that were opposite each other's. These days, both of them reside in the next world, happily retired. Now, while they may not be active in afterlife show business these days, the two men are still competitive. According to next world media sources, Johnny and Merv are currently engaged in a bizarre, friendly feud. No one seems to know exactly how it started, but sometime back, Carson and Griffin held an arm wrestling contest in a restaurant both frequent for the amusement of friends. After a struggle, Griffin won that round, prompting Carson to ask for a rematch. Now, one thing led to another, and the two have been staging weekly matches at the same location. Word got out, and the crowds on hand for the matches grew. After several months, things have reached a point where multiple members of the media are on hand, along with hundreds of fans of the two talk show hosts. The weekly matches may have started as a lark between Johnny and Merv, but they have now reached the point where the restaurant where they hold them can't contain the crowds that come to cheer on their favorite. So recently, former circus owner and legendary showbiz entrepreneur P.T. Barnum offered to host the events at his restaurant, which is housed in a large circus-like tent which can accommodate thousands at a time. Carson and Griffin are said to be very amused that something they did as a one-time joke has grown to this proportion, and both are said to be leaning toward taking Barnum up on his offer. J. Edgar Hoover had a reputation for being tough as nails when he was the director of the FBI. Despite that, there was a long-standing rumor that the never-married Hoover was gay. Months ago, I told you on the report that in the afterlife he was living with Clyde Tolson, his assistant of many years at the Bureau. Before they transitioned to the new world, the two men spent most of their free time together, causing a lot of people to speculate that the two were lovers. Well, given recent developments, there seems to be little question anymore about the nature of their relationship. According to several sources, Mr. Hoover is now Ms. Hoover. J. Edgar has had several feminizing procedures performed, including breast implants. Hoover, who is now going by the name of Jane, has been seen in public in full makeup and with her hair done, holding hands with Coulson. As of now, I have no word on whether Jane has had surgery for a change of gender. You may not recognize the name Glen A. Larson, but he was the producer of many TV shows, including Battlestar Galactica, Quincy, The Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries, BJ and the Bear, The Fall Guy, Magnum PI, and Knight Rider. Now, Larson just transitioned to the Afterlife, and of course he was greeted by the ubiquitous James Brown. Keith Moon, former drummer for The Who, led Larson off to an orientation center where the layout of the land, so to speak, was explained to him. A source who is present for the conversation tells me that Larson said he would like to begin production as soon as possible on a remake of one of his old shows. Now, if you guessed it would be one of the ones I mentioned at the start of this story, you'd be wrong. For reasons known only to him, Larson wants to redo Manimal, a show he produced which only lasted a few episodes, the very name of which has become a running joke in Earthly Plane TV circles. Backing up his word, Larson has already announced he will begin casting for the show's leads in the coming days. Okay, kids, that's all I have for you right now. Please come back next week for another roundup of the latest gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. I am the Celebrity Medium. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.